first shot.
Thank you all so much for joining us. My first question goes to Mr. Vice President. So it's very clear that economically right now, Nigeria is limping. We have heard this administration talk many, many times about the importance of diversifying beyond oil, diversifying exports, and reducing the dependency on imports that this country has. With all due respect, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience will know what I mean when I say this, Nigerians have heard this talk before. How can they be sure that they can really trust you this time?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, everyone. I think that in the first place, we absolutely have no choice, and I think it's very important that we understand that we're left with absolutely no choice. Even if we did not want to diversify, we're left with no choice. I mean, it's very obvious there's no real option. And I think that what we've been trying to do so far is precisely to deepen the diversification. The Nigerian economy, in every real sense, is somewhat diversified. The question really is how deep that diversification is and how much of it really contributes to development of the economy in a very direct and positive way. For example, when you look at agriculture, and agribusiness generally, that's an area of strength for us, and at the moment, a lot of work is going on in agriculture. For example, we know that we need to be self-sufficient in rice, we need to be self-sufficient in maize, millet, tomatoes and all of that. Take rice, for an example. We're investing heavily in rice production in several states, about 12 states that are known to be essentially major rice producing states. I was in Zamfara just last week, went to the markets, took a look around, looking at prices and all of that. Kebbi State is also doing very well in rice. We've moved from just by improving seedlings, ensuring that we use improved seedlings and inputs such as fertilizer. We've moved from about 3.5 tons per hectare in rice to about 7.5. So Kebbi State in this season is producing hectares yield from hectares that's never happened before. So we have a challenge with milling, with milling rice. But again, we're adding capacity to that. The private sector is already identifying the absolutely incredible opportunities in milling. And so they're moving into milling. An additional milling facility is coming into Kebbi. Another is going to Zamfara. And these are major milling facilities. Now, if we're able to produce rice and process the paddy and all of that, we will be able to save substantially on what we're, on our foreign exchange that is already going out to food importation. And that's just taking rice. The whole agro-allied value chain is one that is just waiting in many respects to happen. For example, let's take shea butter. Shea butter is now becoming one of our major products, and export of shea butter is something that the government itself is looking to invest in. Now, we know what the private sector is already doing. There are quite a few companies that are doing a lot of work in shea butter oil, all manner of products from shea butter. But we need a major shea butter processing plant. Ghana has been doing some amount of work in shea butter, but they're actually importing their shea butter from us, right? And they're actually getting a lot of their shea butter from us. So there's a major private investor who is on course to doing something quite significant in processing shea butter, and we think that requires a great deal of encouragement. So there are opportunities, several opportunities in that chain. I think that the business of government really is to just ensure that we encourage the private sector to go into these areas by giving as much, and private sector, by the way, includes the farmer. It includes the person who is processing on his own farm. The Anchor Borrowers Program in Kebbi is 75,000 farmers. and encouraging them, giving them inputs, ensuring that they have the inputs, giving them credit. The Anchor Borrowers Program is a low interest. It's about 9%. It's about 9%. The funds are given at about 9%, and that's really, encouraging for farmers. So I think basically in that area alone, I've just looked at agriculture. Perhaps we'll have time to look at one or two other areas as we go along. But I think that what we're left to doing is ensuring that there is, substantial investment. Let's even take some of the other private sector investments that there are. One of the key objectives of government is to ensure that game-changing private sector investments are supported. Let's take one. I mean, the Dangote 650,000 barrel refinery, which is the largest single train refinery in the world, when it will come on stream in 2018. If that comes on stream, and we're supporting that whole effort, if it comes on stream on schedule, we would no longer need to import petroleum products at all, especially PMS. And that's 30% of foreign exchange. If the subsea pipeline, the major pipeline that's coming, that's supposed to pass through practically all of the major gas centers, also comes on stream, and we're hoping that will come on stream by the beginning of 2019, we would have the kinds of problems we've had with gas, because this is embedded in the sea. The kinds of problems we've had with gas, we probably won't have those kinds of problems anymore. So we're trying to support major private sector investments that will change the game. And I think that the field is really wide open.
Yes, Mr. Vice President, let me quickly come in here. I'm like one of the few people who spend a lot of my time on social media because I engage a lot with young people.
Yes.
And the question they've been asking, especially on Twitter, Facebook, and so on, is we don't understand the policy direction of this government. We don't even seem to understand if one has been formulated. Would you want to answer them, especially considering the fact that we're talking about Made in Nigeria?
Yes. I think that we've had several very clearly stated, policy objectives, very clearly stated. For example, even just looking at 2016 to 2018, we have what is called the Strategic Implementation Plan. We even have a publication. That publication is also online. We have a clear publication. We have clear objectives. And those objectives are very clearly stated, including objectives of technology for young people, job creation for young people, and what steps we're taking towards achieving that. The problem always with economic policy, and I'm sure you understand, that economic policy is not everybody's turf. When people say sometimes that we don't understand what economic policy is or what it is, really they may be speaking about an aspect that may concern them, and they may just wonder whether or not this particular thing is being addressed. Hardly anyone reads economic policy documents. I'm sure you know that. Hardly anyone does.
Mr. Vice President,
we put this out there. It's out there.
Mr. Vice
Yes.
President, there are governments that have worked in Nigeria that you can say, oh, when it comes to agriculture, you know the direction, because on a regular basis, you see the Minister of Agriculture talk about what they're doing, talk about the way it's going to impact, how many farms are being supported and encouraged. You hear about government that is taking some amount of interest in aviation. You hear of improvement. At times you don't see some of those things, but you do hear that this government or that government is doing specifics that you can see that they are pushing as an agenda.
Yeah.
But the agenda of this government seems to elude the young people who form 70% of our population.
I would respectfully disagree with you that, for example, take agriculture. I think I'm also on social media. I follow social media. Take agriculture. Very, very specifically, I don't know anyone who talks as much as Chief Audu Ogbe about agriculture. He talks regularly about what we're doing in agriculture.
But I'm yet to see the Minister of Agriculture on social media or even on television presenting the ideas. That's because a lot of people are asking this question, Mr. Vice President.
I'm afraid I really can't help with that because I know how frequently the Minister of Agriculture in particular, very recently, he launched the Green Alternative, which is the agricultural policy plan of the government, was all over the news, was well publicized, it's online as well. Frankly, it's possible. It's very possible that we're not doing enough. Perhaps we could do more. But I think in particular, the choice of agriculture is one where I think a lot of communication has been done.
And just to add to Kayode's point, I
Yes.
think that what he also means is that people are not feeling the policies. You know, the government ministers will talk and talk and talk, but when you talk to people, ordinary Nigerians on the street, they're not feeling them. So in particular, the Made in Nigeria, and I want to give Emeka, Minister of Industry to Investment, to actually talk about this. In particular, when it comes to Made in Nigeria, I've spoken to people who own local businesses, and they don't feel that the government is doing anything to support Made in Nigeria businesses. For example, one woman was suggesting perhaps some kind of production zone for Made in Nigeria businesses where they would have access to uninterrupted power, where they would have tax rebates, incentives to keep them producing. They feel as if you are starting a business and you are promoting or making Made in Nigeria products, it is extremely difficult, and the government will talk and talk and talk, but people do not feel the policy. So that is for the Vice President and the Minister of Investment as well.
A lot of the policies, especially with Made in Nigeria, local manufacturing, and those kinds of policies, are policies which obviously will still take a while to come to fruition. You know, you may not immediately be able to feel the impact of all of these policies, but clearly, look at the ease of doing business. You know, I mean, we're working very, very seriously on ease of doing business. In the area, for instance, of even local manufacturing, you know, just last week, I was at I think it was Friday, I was at a Made in Nigeria, basically, agribusiness forum, which held at the Congress Hall of the Nikon. What we saw there and what we're able to see there was really a good number of people who are investing in agribusiness and what government is trying to do. With me there was the Bank of Industry, it was the Managing Director of Bank of Industry. And the whole idea, and of course the Minister of State for Investment was also there. And the whole idea was to look at ways in which government could directly intervene in many of these businesses. Give loans, give soft loans, and those kinds of things, and see how they could assist in this way.